We're going to take a look at a T-6G accident that happened about 3 years ago. Hi, I'm Scott Perdue, and today I'm going to cover what a FlyWire fan asked me to look at, and that's a T-6G that crashed in August of 2021. Tragically, a grandfather and his grandson died in this accident, and the flight lasted for a total of about 6.5 minutes. Takeoff was at 3:15 in the afternoon on August 4th, 2021. Significantly, it never got above about 1,100 feet above the ground. But this was not a sightseeing event. Witnesses reported that the airplane was laying down smoke on some of its passes. They also said it looked like it had done a loop. Okay. To me, I find reports like that from regular citizens to be a little bit spurious. What is a loop? Is it the same thing for them as it is for me? Probably not. Do they really know what a loop is and what it would look like from the ground? Maybe a loop to them is a circular turn. And that's what these folks were doing in their T6. I counted 5 full turns, and then the final turn began normally, but then tightened up at the very end. The FAA flight path data implies an erratic flight. Okay, when you look at theirs, it looks really erratic and jumpy. When you look at it from ADS-B hits, it's a little bit more regular. I do advocate regular training in my videos quite often. I'm a believer in it, and on the face of it, it looks like this pilot was doing some steep turns with a little more than normal G. And when you look at the turns, they're very circular, very symmetrical. And it looks like that, to me, looks like he's practiced them a lot. He does this regularly. The turns were all pretty much within 10 knots of each other on ground speed. And from the data, it doesn't look like winds were a big factor. So ground speed is likely representative of the indicated airspeed, fairly close to it, especially since they're close to the ground. By measuring the turn diameter, we can estimate the turn radius, and from that, we can derive the approximate G load. Most of these turns were about 5 G, some 4.5 to 5 G, which is in the upper level for a T6. The G model, it's a 5.6 G airplane, as I remember, at minus 2.3 G. So they were performing maximum G level turns. The first 5 turns, as I said, looked pretty much symmetric. They were pretty good. But something happened on that last turn. Was it a distraction, a mistake? Maybe the pilot let his grandson take a turn. Frankly, we'll never know the proximate cause of this departure, but that's what happened. Most T6s have a very abrupt break at the stall where it breaks to the hard to the right, and most of the ones I've flown do that, although my last T6 had a very gentle break straight ahead. It was rigged a little bit differently. The wings incidents, I think. The airplane impacted at an angle probably greater than 70 degrees, perhaps with a small bit of rotation, but you couldn't quite tell in the photos that were available. The descent rates in a spin can easily exceed 6,000 feet per minute. And it looks like that last turn began about 670 feet AGL with a nose-up vector. It was actually breaking like this, which would have brought it very close to an accelerated stall. The break itself occurred, according to the data, about 820 feet AGL. So that's what it looks like to me. What's the big mistake? Doing steep turns, pulling close to max G, stalling the airplane? I would say none of those things by themselves, and during training and learning the airplane, I think you would execute all those maneuvers regularly, probably for a proficiency thing as well, so you're familiar with what the feel of the airplane is. So what's the problem? Well, I have to say that it was likely a judgment issue. Sorry, but that's what I think. What were they doing performing these maneuvers at 1,000 feet or less above the ground? Maximum G, level turn, that close to the ground. Well, at that altitude, you have no options. In a departure from control flight, you have a split second to recover. If you let that go by and don't get the wing flying again, well, you've missed it. And you're now on an elevator ride to the ground, accelerating at 32.2 feet per second. Okay, that's gravity. And that accelerated stall was unexpected, and if there was a recovery initiated, it was too late. I still advocate training, but I only do maneuvering flight like that when I'm low to the ground, when I'm practicing an air show routine, and that's in a very structured situation. The maneuvers, the sequence, all that kind of stuff, very, very structured close to the ground. Everything else that I do, especially with a student, is going to be at an altitude that allows some time to get a hold of the airplane again if a mistake is made, if something's blown. And mistakes do happen. Departures can happen to any of us. Okay, you can screw up, you're a human. I know I have. So altitude is your get out of jail free card. My nickel on the grass is don't take low maneuvering altitude risks. Just don't do that. So I think that that's fairly simple view of it. I appreciate the fans wanted to take a look at that accident. There wasn't an awful lot of other data to look at, but that's my nickel on the grass of what happened here. Steep turns followed by a mistake. Okay, give yourself an altitude out, please. Don't stop training. Try to and also know what those stalls feel like. So anyway, that's my nickel. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on FlyWire.